Good afternoon. It's November 26th, 2024, 2 days from Thanksgiving. I hope you all are having a great Tuesday. Today I'm going to be talking about the sacrament of marriage and what's expected of a wife in a marriage, a Christian marriage, especially Orthodox Christian marriage, and my experiences of what I went through for 23, almost 24 years. There was a lot of psychological abuse, verbal abuse in my marriage that affected my oldest son, not just me. And he has a narcissistic, he's narcissistic, and I learned all this after the fact when I came out of the marriage, because there's a certain programming that happens when you become involved with somebody like that. You're their target, and they want to control you through this programming that they do. The reason why this is coming up is because a few days ago I was reading a post in a group, an Orthodox women group in Facebook, and it kind of triggered kind of angry feelings, kind of unhappy feelings over what this woman was sharing about her problems with her husband. And I'm just going to read you a little bit of that. It's an anonymous member, so. Hello, I need advice on how to be a better wife. My husband is very messy. He leaves his clothes everywhere. He would take off his jeans and leave them where he took them off. Every space he is using is very messy and unorganized. I don't know how to handle it properly. When I ask him to clean, he gets annoyed and often angry. I'm not reacting well. I lose control, yell, and throw things around. We have a baby and he wants more children. He is showing a terrible example and I don't know how to handle it. I'm showing terrible example by losing control. Please help me. Is there a book that you can recommend that might help navigating difficult marriage? My first thought of this is this man, this is my honest thought, this man is in Orthodox, it is an Orthodox, I assume, and there's this view of Orthodox women that they are traditional, and most of them are, but there's some that are not as traditional, and that they must be in the traditional role of a woman at home and in the house. I'm not against a woman staying home with their children. I did that for all the years that my children were growing up. It was something I chose to do because I wanted to be with my children when they were growing up. That's because that's what my mother did, and I wanted to do as she had. But I get this feeling that this man expects her to be a maid and to be the caregiver of the children, and doesn't have a regard for her as an equal in the marriage, and does not think of the fact that he also needs to help around the house. It's not a one-way street on that, although it seems that it tends to be that way. At least it was in my marriage. Once in a while my ex would make dinner, but and if he cleaned, it was once in a blue moon, and it was So I was relating to her and how I thought she was feeling. Other people thought maybe there was something wrong with the man, mentally or something. I don't know. I'm just saying that this is what I felt when I read it, which makes sense because when you've been through something like that, you seem to hone in on these things. So, what I'm trying to say is there's certain expectations as a Orthodox Christian wife, and I think even as a Christian wife in general, excuse me, because I actually have talked to, or I've actually talked to other women who have gone through this, being in an abusive type of psychologically abusive marriage, and they were treated the same way as I was. And so there's a few things that you think about when you're in a marriage, at least I did, where, you're taught that you need to be an obedient wife. That's one of the first things. You need to be obedient. You need to be a good wife and a good mother. That's like something I was aiming for very much. And I struggled through for 23 years. Even when the first year of my marriage, I learned he was not faithful to me. But then that goes to the second thing that I felt like I had to have, which was I had to learn, was forgiveness. And I figured, okay, he was sorry, and so I'm going to go ahead and work on forgiving him. But all the while, learning to trust is the hardest thing. And to regain the trust takes long time. Sometimes, many years. And I never really gained trust back because there were multiple times where he betrayed me. And and I just kept going with I need to be obedient. I was afraid. I had this low self-esteem. That's why I was such a target at the time. If I do something, I'll lose him. And even at the same time, I really had a dislike for him because of all the things that he had done to me. So, in combination of following these two things, where I felt like, marriage is something that you work together and you continue through it, even when there's mistakes made or unfaithfulness. And I thought, okay, I have to try to get through that. And well, all that did was make me and my sons, especially my older son, that was a target as well. It just put us in a programmed state of constant abuse. And it was very difficult, and it got worse and worse and worse over the years. Finally blew up in late July 2020, and that's when I finally couldn't do it anymore, because the last weapons that he was trying to use, or last thing that he thought he was going to get me to do for him, was to go against my own sons. So he was constantly berating them and treating them like total crap. I kind of was used to that, and I would just ignore it. I had walls up a lot during this time throughout my marriage, and unfortunately my son, who's very sensitive, my older son, didn't, and he had to take the brunt of that. And we've had to work through our abuse, our healing, and our relationship, which was always close, but it got tenuous during these times. And that's what my ex was doing. He was trying to divide all three of us, me, my older son, my younger son from each other, and then my my two sons had their divisions, and really that's just of the devil, division and chaos is of the devil. And so when I brought this up to my priest, he didn't take it too well at first. I think he learned over time that we needed to be out of this. But there's this Orthodox view of, once you're married, you should stick it out, even just stay as brother and sister in a marriage, or, be like a saint. And if you can withstand this type of treatment. Well, I'm not even close to a saint, and I know we're all called to become saints, but it's a difficult thing. I fail all the time. So what I tried to do was explain to him, you want me to stay in an abusive relationship? Well, he says no. And I think a lot of priests in the Orthodox Church need to learn about the real detriment to a person's their psychological state, their mental, their physical, and their spiritual state when you have somebody like that, as your spouse in a marriage. And I'm hoping at some point there will be classes or something for the spiritual fathers and priests to study and be aware of, because it's pretty common these days to have this this issue. And so my son's still going to therapy, but he's doing pretty well considering. I've done therapy for a couple of years, and then I've kind of gotten through that. But it's something that really is it takes a while to heal. And, I'm fine with that. I'm not interested in being with anybody, which I wouldn't see how I could after 23 years of work, all the hard work and all that, and having a special needs son, trying to take care of him, and then at the same time trying to deal with a husband that was petulant and childish about things and wanting to be first. And I'm thinking, no, my first priority is my youngest son, who had a brain tumor. And we were trying to get through. He was a survivor of that, and all that went into that. PT, physical therapy, speech therapy, all that. I was the one doing all that. And then my other son that felt left out, my older son. So my older son was the second priority. And then that made my husband the third. Well, he never really got over that. He wanted attention all the time. And, he had this narcissistic, and he still is, he's a narcissistic person. And so what I'm trying to say is, if you're in a marriage, women, Orthodox women, Christian women, you need to know that you don't have to stay in an abusive relationship, and you shouldn't. It's not good for your health or for your children's health. And it is one of the reasons, adultery, abuse of any type, they need to learn psychological abuse. It lasts longer than physical abuse, but they need to know about that. Our churches need to know that. Don't stay in a marriage like that, because it's not good for your health, and it can really destroy you if you're in it for so long. My physical health was going down the drain as well. So I will get, if you want to share anything about this or have questions, you can leave comments on at the bottom of this video. And I know this is somewhat different than the usual things I talk about, but this is through an Orthodox Christian lens, so it all has to do with the Orthodox faith and how we get through these type of issues. People who have been in positions like me. So if you like this content, please please follow my channel and like my videos. Until next time, have a blessed day. Thank you.